yes, it's that Thursday flow. We're talking NXTUK and NXT. They collide in this show's Draped in Gold. Hello, everyone. My name is Flobo Boyce, of course, and I'm here to wade through both sides of the pond of good old wrestling action. But you know me, I'm never alone, and I'm being joined by the guy I want to say he is like me. If I decided to have a suntan, he is the real Jack Farmer. What's up, man?
I don't know how to tell you this, but you've got a darker tan than I do, buddy.
If I opted out, I would totally look just like this.
I don't know how good my tan is, if anything. This isn't much of a tan.
What's up, baby? How's life? How's the week? How's the lady of the week? How's everything going?
Man, it's been, I'm living the dream. I am at a point now where life feels, this is going to sound weird, but typically I take a lot of time off during December for the holidays and things like that. So even though the world seems to be shut down, I'm kind of getting into a space where this is how my weeks would have been playing out anyways. So it feels a little bit normal to me, as ironic and weird as that sounds.
No, I totally get you. I'm kind of the same thing. It's like, is it really a slowdown if you've been slowing down for the past 8 months? Real quick shout out to Johan Pena's in the chat. What up, Real 5 Stud?
Real 5 Stud.
Shout out to Evan Mac, dude. I'll totally take his gimmick. Yeah, big shows across the board, man. NXT, NXT UK, and I'm so glad that we were just talking about how NXT UK kind of brings it week in and week out. And let's start from the top down. That main event was like a boss fight, because I was expecting a return of Tyler Bate, but there's a match between him and A-Kid for the Heritage Cup, which, confirmed, is being defended like a championship. Thoughts?
Man, there's so much to unpack with what you just talked about with the main event, and I don't know what direction to go because I have so much I want to say, but I'm going to start with the biggest story. That's what we do, right, Flobo? We start with the biggest thing,
okay.
And I'm going to say it. I know it's a little bit early. I know we still got a few weeks left, but Flobo, right now, I am declaring A-Kid as Wrestler of the Year for NXT UK. I don't know who has had a better year than him. He's wrestled a ton of matches. He's won all of them. He's the first ever Heritage Cup winner, and he just put down Tyler Bate. He is the NXT UK Men's Wrestler of the Year, and I don't think, even with a few weeks left, anyone can touch him.
I agree with you. But some people will say, though, that he is worthy of an asterisk because of the year. No?
No. I mean, are we going to put an asterisk next to everything, Flobo?
Yeah, why not? You love those things.
I mean, I try to make sure there's as few asterisks as possible. I don't want to put an asterisk next to him. Look, I mean, are we going to put one next to the Lakers, next to the Dodgers, next to everything else going on in the world? Nah,
I would, unless the Mets won, then no asterisk.
He's the wrestler. He's the Wrestler of the Year in NXT UK. I don't think it's close. He's been amazing, and I agree with Dar. I think he's a man now.
Yes, that was kind of weird. We'll get to that in a second, though. But Tyler Bate does return in a very formidable matchup. I was kind of nervous because Tyler Bate's one of those characters, one of those guys who could be easily at the top, and giving him the Heritage Cup would not be a bad business decision. But A-Kid seems even more legit now after tonight's contest.
A-Kid is legitimized. A-Kid is solidified. A-Kid is a top guy in NXT UK. You make a great point, though. Tyler Bate is one of those guys who's always knocking on the door of stardom and the main event and the world title. And this is a big announcement, Flobo. This is crazy. I know a lot of times people don't expect to come in to a show like this and have news broken, but I'm going to break the news, Flobo. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. It is official. I am adding Tyler Bate to the most exclusive group in all of pro wrestling. Tyler Bate, as of now, he's a thigh guy, baby. He has joined the thigh guys. He has some of the best thighs in all of pro wrestling. Tyler Bate, you're a thigh guy. Welcome to the group.
I don't know what's funny, the fact he's a thigh guy or you slipped and said glute group. I think both will work.
I mean, he's essentially, he's in there too.
What's up, Dylan Matthews? Jack's ever been associated with assholes in his life? Not true. But I want to read you a tweet.
It's true.
This tweet is from @RealJackFarmer, who says, I forgot that Tyler Bate has one of the best grooves in wrestling for intro music. Agreed. I love that track, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. This is definitely getting into the DJ waters here, but I feel like I want to mix it with Lana's. Like I feel like you could flow from one to the next.
That would be sick.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, they go together really well. He has such good music. Again, I forgot all about it. When I came on, I was like, oh yeah, it's totally a groove. You want to groove to it. He's just looked like, I know the comment was made that A Kid is now A man, but I'm telling you, the big strong boy is looking like a big strong man with that lion's mane he grew over the break.
Absolutely majestic, mate. it was massive. It was great. I liked the match too. It definitely was. I feel like NXT UK was a good episode going into the main event, but this made it feel like, I don't know, a takeover, I guess, or a takeover night, because it gets bumped up with the people involved and that hair. So
yeah, I wasn't sure about whether or not I wanted to see the Heritage rules continued, but I loved it. I'm still into it. I enjoyed it. I liked the rules. I liked how it played out. I like that he's defending this championship. It does feel a little bit weird that it's a trophy that he's defending, because trophies do feel kind of like a one and done kind of thing. You like a medal, like you win it, it's yours, you take it home, and then you next time it's a different trophy. So
I agree.
That part's a little weird, but overall, I like seeing him defend it and having these matches. I enjoy the matches. I enjoy the psychology of them a lot more than I thought I would when this whole thing was presented.
You know what about the trophy thing? Because I know on our sister show, Lead the Week, we talked about like having different items have stand for titles or stand for championships, and I was worried about that too. But I will say the Heritage Cup trophy looks like it's durable enough to be defended. Sometimes you get like the greatest tag team trophies, like the ones the Good Brothers won a couple of years back. You're like, that's not coming back. That's the prop. You know what I mean? But props to that. But we can't talk about that all day long. I have to bring up your boys Eddie Dennis and the Hunt, because they're going into like what seems to be Sid Scala's fourth office in 4 weeks. But they want answers. Dang it, Jack. Now, I know you love how much you love these teams. Is that the perfect team to be the number one contenders for the tag team championships?
Who else should be? Eddie Dennis, again, one of the smartest people in wrestling today. He made a good point. They beat Flash Morgan and Andrew Webster. They beat the former champions.
Who are those guys? Yeah.
Those guys, whatever they are, it doesn't matter anymore. The Hunt hunted them down. They've been hunted. Now the Hunt is going on to the next thing. Eddie Dennis, he is proving again to be such a huge asset to the Hunt, and the Hunt such a huge asset to him. I was watching this, seeing him get exactly what he's always wanted, and I couldn't help but ask myself, how is Flobo going to poo-poo all over Eddie Dennis when Eddie Dennis is just like DJ Khaled, just win, baby, win over and over and over again, getting everything he wants? Let me hear it, Flobo. Let me hear you poo-poo on it.
I cannot, because I think at first it didn't make sense because how quick it was. It looked like he was going to roll it pretty deadly, and then I was like, nah, just kidding. But this team here makes a lot more sense. Not to simplify what the Hunt stands for, but they are the brawn, and Eddie Dennis is the brains. It works. I like it. I'm all about it. I just chuckle when poor Sid Scala is like, I can't get through one day of work without someone barging in or taking my camera crew or just like grabbing him with a tie. But I'm all about it, man. Why not?
Yeah, anyone who's been a fan of the old Road Warrior, Mad Max movies knows about old Master Blaster, where you've got the brains and the brawn, but Eddie Dennis doubled down on the brawn. I think he's even better than old Master Blaster because he's got 2 dangerous pieces of muscle working for him now, and I can't wait to see Gallus versus the Hunt. It's going to be a brutal matchup. I mean, if you're not in on NXT UK now, get in now, because next week it's going to be a banger.
Talk about groups with dope theme songs. Gallus?
Yes.
It's Scottish country, man. I'm grooving it. I'm loving it.
I love Gallus. They're Cowboys. I love it. They're great. And I don't know if they know they're Cowboys, but they're Cowboys. And they're Scottish, but who cares? They're American Cowboys to me. Scottish Cowboys, I don't know how you put it down, but I love them. They're just fun.
I know it led to the main event tonight, but I want to talk to you real quick about the Supernova sessions. Now, in professional wrestling, as long as I've been alive, there's always been talk show segments from Piper's Pit to the King's Court to the KO show. This one does look a little bit different. It almost looks like the host is, in the case of Wemdar's case, is more of a Weasley guy who just instigates under the table, which I think works for this. First of all, production value, the fact NXT UK has its first talk segment, and your overall vibes of the Supernova sessions.
I usually don't like these things, to be honest. I feel like you've got a bunch of backstage interviewers. I've done backstage interviewing for Primetime Live, and I know whenever wrestlers start stepping on my toes, I don't like it. But I agree with you. I thought he did a great job with this. I thought it got to a really great match. And the only thing that really didn't rub me the right way here, and something I thought was very similar, is I thought it was interesting that me and Noam Dar, we shared something. Much like he is A-Kid's mentor, I feel like I'm kind of your mentor, but we both got a little bit of disrespect. So I connect with him on that, and I understand where he's coming from in that case.
Hey, what's going on? What?
Much like you used to be called Flow Boy, now you're Flow Man, and I think that it's just, I think there's a lot of connections and similarities there.
Flow Man sounds like he eats a lot of fiber, but thank you. I appreciate it.
The new Activia spokesperson.
Flow Man. What are we doing here? We're going to lose our clean rating. So we also heard of particular promos. Ginny, and this is someone I like a lot. Ginny, the fashionista, is still not an antagonist. We don't use insider terms. But it seems that even though she's an antagonist, she's willing to fight anyone that gets in her way, which puts her in someone that is in between protagonist and antagonist. Jack Farmer, question for you. Where does she stand? And if you consider Ginny an antagonist, does it bother you that most women in this division are antagonists as well?
I don't know where you're coming from. I think Ginny's great. I love her. I think she's doing a great job. I think that she's got one of those fighting attitudes that most people would say is very good. We're supposed to like that kind of stuff, right? She wants to take on all challengers. She wants to do all things. She's very aggressive, and she's trying to earn her spot instead of other people like Piper Niven, who wants to whine and complain until they get what they want. Ginny's doing the hard work. She's getting her hands dirty, and I think she's kind of a role model to a lot of people.
Man, I'm going to clip this out and show Piper. Why did complain? I mean, she put her body on the line for you people. Where's the respect?
She was looking out for herself, Flobo. Always looking out for number one, trying to be a bully, trying to be mean. Ginny's here to try to show what you can do if you just believe in yourself and work hard.
Speaking of somebody who must be sharing the same values or will get invited to the same holiday party, Nina Samuels makes herself known by having someone put her bags at ringside for Xia Brookside's match against Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn didn't really have the most impressive win-loss record going into this, but the distraction was just enough for her to get a pinfall victory over this guy's supposed number one contender as I fought for this. So now this is all messed up. Jack Farmer, 3 questions are on my mind. 1, number one contender for Kaylee Ray's championship. 2, do you want to see Nina Samuels and Xia Brookside? And 3, is Isla Dawn back?
Well, I think right off the bat, Isla Dawn, we got to give her a shout out because, again, she's one of these people that she was the underdog here. She was someone who didn't have a great win-loss record, and I think a lot of people would have felt beaten down and would have felt out of sorts, but she still decided to keep on trucking and got a good win. I'm proud of her. Great job there. Xia Brookside, she took a loss again. She hasn't had the best win-loss record either. But Nina Samuels, can we give her a round of applause for even though Xia Brookside failed to win and has had a bad win-loss record, Nina Samuels still like, look, I believe in you. I see something in you. I want to give you an opportunity to have work during these hard times, and you can carry my bags. You can carry my luggage. I think that's just such a cool thing that she did. Nina Samuels always thinking about others, always thinking about ways to make other people better. She's the one in the spotlight, but she's also making sure the people pointing the spotlight are taken care of. You know what I mean?
Something tells me if Xia Brookside actually carries Nina Samuels back, she's not getting tips. I don't know what kind of job opportunity are you talking about. She'd be like, it's not there enough. And also, her bags are mismatched. That's not very glamorous. But it looks like Xia Brookside and Nina Samuels are on a collision course. I know Nina Samuels is your pick to be on top of the division, right? But here's a question. Should Nina Samuels be more concerned with the NXT UK Women's Champion Kaylee Ray, though? Should she be not looking that direction?
That's what's great about Nina Samuels. She knows that Kaylee Ray runs the division. She just wants the spotlight. She doesn't need the title. She wants the spotlight, and that's what she's getting. Now, if Xia Brookside, she doesn't seem to understand that she has a great opportunity here to find some really good long-term employment as a bag carrier. So you're right. I think she's going to want to try to get a match with Nina Samuels. Maybe she'll rack up enough wins to earn her spot there, but I think that'd be a bad move because Nina Samuels is one of the best in the business, and I think Nina Samuels is going to make short work of Brookside.
I just can't imagine that, dude. Someone who works, bust their ass for years and train and make sure they eat clean and chicken breast and kale, and your job is to carry bags. I don't think that's plausible, dude.
Well, when you see all the luggage that Nina Samuels has, you have to be in good shape to carry all of that. So to be fair, you got to have that same kind of training to carry all that luggage, all those wardrobes and things like that. I think that's what makes Brookside perfect for carrying her bags.
Man, how much is Nina Samuels paying you? That's the question I have.
Not nearly enough.
Carry your bags. No, moving on. The actual show started with, in my opinion, the true cruiserweight champion, Jordan Devlin, just putting the rules out there, saying he is a true cruiserweight champion. Props to that. And he has a match featuring the partner who I said was going to be the Breakout Star 2021, Ashton Smith. Oliver Carter comes out, a very game Oliver Carter, but he was on the losing end. Now, Jack, I know you flip-flop about this Cruiserweight Championship, but thoughts about Jordan Devlin, thoughts about his defense and his positioning right now?
I don't know what flip-flopping you're talking about. Jordan Devlin is the Cruiserweight champion. He's never lost it. He's always held it. I think he is a class unto himself, and I think beyond just the division. I think he's the true number one real deal Cruiserweight champion. Let's put all debate to rest. He's the guy. And I think he's showing it today. I agree with you. I thought that Oliver Carter did a great job of bringing it. I think he should be proud of his performance. I think he looked amazing. I think he did a great job. And I know that sounds condescending, but I mean, I think he did a great job. It's just that Jordan Devlin, like I said, the Irish ace, I think is beyond that. I think he's just the ace. I think he's the ace of everything. It's the cruiser ace division at this point, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to take it from him.
That's awesome. But when Santos Escobar is on screen, you say the opposite. You say he is the number one. He's the true cruiserweight champion.
I don't know what you're trying to do here, Flobo. I don't know what kind of false news narrative you're trying to create here. I've been very strong in my opinions, and I've never minced words. I've always said Jordan Devlin is the guy.
I can't with you. Shout out to Adam K. was in the chat. Says NXTUK is the best week-to-week programming. I actually agree. And Anissa Barr says, "Hey friends, hi friends, hi Anissa Barr."
Adam Woods, Anissa Barr.
Joe, we should get Anissa on the show this week.
Good. Dylan Matthews, Charlene,
everyone. But before we move on, I gotta make two quick announcements. Number one, Draped and Go is brought to you part by Gamerwear. Look, suit up and suit out and make sure it happens at gmrwear.com. Use promo code Flobo for a discount. And if you're on Twitch, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, all that stuff. And Jack, I'm kind of thirsty. Got anything in mind?
Well, if you're thirsty, you have a lot of options, but if you want the very best drink you can have to give you the energy to get through a tough day, do yourself a favor. Go to www.thebroasters.com and type in promo code BROCODE1. You can order a ton of different flavors that are all organically grown, all single origin, none of these blends or mixed match thingamajigs that happen with other coffee places. You get some good coffee, the best coffee, the only coffee this guy drinks, and the only coffee that's strong enough to keep up with someone like Flobo throwing false news narratives at you left, right, and center.
Hey!
www.thebroasters.com, promo code BROCODE1.
I don't know how I stand for this Jack Farmer propaganda every Thursday, but I somehow managed. NXT stateside. A lot of things happening. I'm going to try to suss through it the best way I can. But I guess the top story is the one that impacted a couple different segments. The return of Karrion Kross and Scarlett, both making themselves known in two different segments of the show. Now, Jack Farmer, everyone's been asking, when's Finn Balor going to defend his NXT championship? You already had a bunch of contenders ready to go, but Karrion Kross is back and looks as strong as ever. Is this guy the number one contender?
Number one contender, that's just a side thing, Flobo. That's not even the most important thing, and it's very rare that the title isn't the most important thing. What happened? What Karrion Kross has done is I think it's clear he joined the way. He joined the Garganos. Did you see how Damian Priest came out to interrupt them, and Karrion Kross was there to say, no, don't mess with my buddies, the Garganos. Clearly, Karrion Kross is in cahoots with the Garganos. I mean, I don't know how anyone else could see anything different.
So let me get this straight. Karrion Kross is off TV, man, nursing back this injury, trying to get as strong as he can. He's like, you know what? I was the NXT champion, but somehow I had to relinquish this championship because I'm injured. He flicks on the TV on his way to the arena. He says, man, Austin Theory is so cool standing behind Johnny Gargano. Let me get in with that? That's what happened?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're the NXT champion, you're the champion of all sorts of stuff. But NXT is filmed in North America. That's where everything happens. And as long as you're in North America, Johnny Gargano is your champion. And Karrion Kross knows that that's who you want to be with. That's who you want to stand by. Johnny Gargano, I mean, isn't it clear? As soon as Damian Priest came to pick another fight with Johnny Gargano, there Karrion Kross was to say, no, sir. I'm coming out to stop you from messing with the guy that I'm aligning with right now. I think it was pretty obvious.
Adam Wood says, I forgot Kross was champion. Fair enough. He held the title for 18 hours or 3 days or so. But here's the thing, man. We're talking about the presentation, and I'm not to drag him because he's actually on the card tonight. But I remember about 2 months ago, Jake Atlas was feuding with another SoCal favorite. Jake Atlas was feuding with Santos Escobar, and he pulled up in a Mazda, and we all made fun of him. At least I did, handedly, because that's not really intimidating. But Karrion Kross had a sports car. Totally fits his character. If he's not teleporting to places, I totally see him drive American Muscle. That's why it matters, little things. But let's say
agreed, by the way.
Thank you. But let's say he's off the table. Because before Scarlett came out in that opening segment, you had Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, and Damian Priest all in the ring with Finn Balor. If Karrion Kross is going to go after Damian Priest immediately, and Finn Balor is going to defend that title at New Year's Evil, get it, puns, who would you have in that case?
I want to start by saying this. The intro to NXT is exactly what I think we all wanted to see. We're done with War Games, and Finn Balor did a great job of actually just explaining it. Look, the team sports are over. The team captain stuff is over. It's now time to find out who the number one contender is. And pro wrestling is all about unpredictability and these crazy moments. So seeing all these people come out got us all thinking which one of them is going to get the title shot, which one of them is next. I think all of them look like great contenders. I'm excited to see who Finn Balor is going to defend against next. It could be any of them. Right. We did sort of see them start pairing off a little bit as the night went off. So I don't know who it's going to be personally. I think it's Pete Dunne. I want to see Pete Dunne get that match. One, because it would be an amazing match. But two, I mean, come on. He's with Pat McAfee's crew. Clearly, that's who you want to be giving title shots to, because clearly that's where the championship is, you know?
I agree. Adam Woods asks, if the NXT is in North America, what geographic location does the NXT title govern? The Galaxy. Thoughts about the War Games of this year, though?
I think they split with the 24/7 title in what they govern.
Yeah. Time and space. War Games is pretty solid, and the reason why I'm asking that, why it's linked, is because even though it was a losing effort, I did think Pete Dunne was a standout in that match, in the men's War Games match. Just overall thoughts real quick about the pay-per-view and that match and how it relates to this.
You're going to have me sum up an amazing War Games show with real quick overall thoughts.
Real quick, yeah.
It was crazy. It was amazing. I thought those guys went... I mean, we'll probably talk about the women's match later, but for right now, the men's War Games match was brutal. It was hard-hitting. It's everything you want from a War Games match. It was fantastic. Pat McAfee, man, he just over-delivers every single time. It was, I mean, we can talk about, we can make fun all we want, but as Adam Woods says, I think he mispronounced it or misspelt it. He's the Brock Lesnar. He's the Goldberg. I want to see Pat McAfee take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, if you ask me.
No.
But Pete Dunne, I mean, Pete Dunne is everything you're looking for in a world title contender. He looks cool. He wrestles amazing. He's tough as nails. And he's someone that, I mean, if Kyle O'Reilly can make Finn Balor leave with a busted jaw and put him on the shelf for 2 months, what is Pete Dunne going to do to him? I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to break all of his fingers because that's what Pete Dunne likes to do. How long Finn Balor's on the shelf after that, I don't know. It won't matter because Pete Dunne will be the champion by that point.
Well, the one thing I noted is that Pete Dunne is a two-time NXT #1 contender for that championship. He's never won the big one. That's been the title that's eluded his career. So, like yourself, I would totally put them as a #1 contender. But now that you mentioned it, the women's match was a little bit different in this case because we had Raquel Gonzalez, who people can say has the highest ceiling, has the most road to develop, right? Pinning the current NXT Women's Champion. And there might be a problem brewing, a good problem to have in NXT, that there's so many different characters in that women's division who have a legitimate and valid threat to being the women's champion. It's almost like Io's getting crowded out of her own division. The question is the time that Io's going to be champion numbered?
I think it is, because I think Raquel Gonzalez is going to come take it. I think Raquel, what? I love Io Shirai. Io Shirai has been the best women's wrestler on the planet for at least a year. I think that's safe to say. And
top two.
I saw today, or last night, she was wrestling Ember Moon, who Ember Moon is one of the top contenders in NXT, and the NXT women's division is one of the top divisions in all the planet. Raquel Gonzalez showed that she is so strong, she is so tough, that it doesn't matter how talented you are, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, it doesn't matter how fast you are, brute strength wins out. And I think that Raquel Gonzalez's brute strength is enough to match up with anybody and everybody, including the person that came down for the stare down at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think that Raquel Gonzalez is probably pound for pound the third strongest or the second strongest. Top four, definitely strongest women.
Okay, I need your other three. How are you gonna?
Well, it depends whether you count Mercedes Martinez. I think Raquel and Mercedes are very similar, but above them are Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Like those two women are the strongest as far as max weight they can pull. But she is definitely a strong individual. She made Ember Moon like a rag doll in that main event. But let's talk about the whole stare.
Where do you put? Wait, real quick. Where do you put? Oh my gosh! Now I've just Shayna Baszler's partner.
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. I kept wanting to say Nina, and I knew that was wrong.
Nia Jax is strong to do a Samoan drop, but when you're a super heavyweight, there's an expectation. Right? You look at someone like Rhea Ripley or Raquel Gonzalez who have a strong base, but the actual feats of strength, it's like if Big Show picked up John Cena, we would go, okay. But when John Cena picked up Big Show, we're like, oh my God, how? You know what I mean?
Fair.
Or in John Cena's case, him and Edge at the same time.
Fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I'm not a hater though.
No, just curious.
Toni Storm, man, she's still in the mix too.
Toni Storm is great. I think the fact that Toni Storm showed just how smart she is over the past few weeks by aligning with Candice LeRae, by aligning with the winning team. I mean, you can't really argue it. And now I think she's doing what I think a lot of us wanted her to do from the very get-go, and that is take out Ember Moon and show that she is the new debuting star of the two. They've been linked ever since day one coming back to NXT. Let's just see these two fight. Why wait for it? Ember's been dancing around it for so long, but Toni Storm doing what we all want and going right after Ember Moon, I think it's great.
I think you're right. I think the matches will slap. I think both Toni and Ember need some rehabilitation because we hadn't seen them in such a while, so we want to introduce the characters to each other. But there's a weird thing that grinds my gears. That rubs in the wrong way.
Grinds my gears.
About having them debut together, feud together, turn on each other. It's almost like they brought in it almost like I felt these characters were on a spin-off show and they brought them at the same time. And there's like a show within the women's division. I would like to have some other characters in their story to make it feel more organic to the rest of the women's stories, I guess.
I don't know. I think sometimes when you've just got two tough competitors, throw them in the ring together and see what happens. I don't think you necessarily... I get what you're saying. I get where you're going with it. I hear what you're screaming, Flobo. I'm just saying sometimes
get over it.
You got two great competitors. Let's go at it.
Stop being that guy. All right.
Stop having opinions, Flobo.
And Rhea Ripley is in the mix too, so maybe I'll get my wish next week the way it's going. So. Also in the women's division, my favorite storyline continues. Xia Li and Boa are getting, as I said this on Twitter, in the most intense Peloton ad I've seen in my life, absolutely tortured on this shadowy organization. I said last week I thought the main boss was Scarlett, but now I'm not so sure. Just thoughts about the progression of this.
I love it. I'm still loving it. I love that it's getting more and more ruthless. It's getting more and more difficult. Adam Wood says, by the way, Jack and Rhea have similar haircuts. It's true. And next week, I'm going to have similar eyebrows. Wow. No.
I want the Rhea, sir.
I like the Rhea. Say no more.
Say no more, fam.
I like it. I like where it's going. It feels like, again, it's escalating it's not escalating quickly. It's escalating slowly. It's a slow burn. But every time we see them, it seems like the training gets harsher, tougher. Now we're seeing blood. We're seeing them taking a beat down. It's interesting. And now when they come back and they're on a win streak, which they will be, it's going to make sense. It's not just, hey, I was off TV for a little bit. Now I'm coming back and re-debuting. We're going to see something different from them. The first thing I was thinking, though, or the thing I was thinking, that two things. One, I still don't know who this person with the long black hair is. I want to know who that is. Mm-hmm. And two, what did Boa do to deserve this? He wasn't on a losing streak. I just realized that poor guy was just like off, probably working out at the performance center, and then every now and again probably looking at the monitor, watching Xia Li do her thing. And then out of nowhere, he gets kidnapped and beaten down, and they're like, "Be stronger." And he's like, "I just wanted an opportunity. What are you doing?"
Never answer as a Craigslist. Want to make cash? Sure. Shout out to Derek Fisher, who says, "Go Seahawks." Just saying, didn't they lose to the Giants last weekend? I was pitiful.
The Seahawks. Yeah, I love the Seahawks. I'm hoping the best for them, but I think sometimes the Russell Wilson magic just isn't enough to make up for a lot of deficiencies they have this year.
It was a football version. For those who don't watch football, it was basically a football version of a schoolboy. It's the Santino Morella.
Yeah.
And it was like, I won!
I've got a terrible feeling they're going to get to the playoffs and then just get obliterated by like a number 1 seed, and it's going to be.
I can't even make fun of you. I'm a Texans fan, so it's not hard.
Yeah, I mean, I hope. I don't know. I hope they do well, but we'll see.
We'll see. Speaking of we'll see, there is something it's brewing, and I want to see more about this. And I when it happened, I was like, I would love to see Jack's thing on this, because I felt like a Jack Farmer situation, because Tony Storm and Io Shirai got into a brawl that Io Shirai did start.
Yeah.
And they dragged out to the ring. So we talked about the number 1 contender. We talked about Raquel Gonzalez being there. We talked about Tony Storm dealing with Ember Moon. She got her receipts or whatever. But I don't know. How do you not punch the champion and feel good enough to go for it? When does Tony Storm challenge for Io Shirai's belt? And if she does, will Io Shirai even be the champion at that point?
Yeah, that was really. It was kind of weird. Was it like even Io Shirai was like, "I don't have a problem with you. I can't remember what she said. She's like, I don't have a problem with you. I just want to like punch you in the face." And I was like, "What the heck, jerk?"
Like, definitely jumping logic. It's like, really?
But you make an interesting point. Like, how are you going to get punched in the face and not challenge the champ? That seems like now Tony Storm really is kind of at a point where she needs to sort of put up or shut up with the champ, because the champ just punched her out. But at the same time, part of me was thinking, Io Shirai, you just got pinned by Raquel Gonzalez and you're going after Tony Storm? That seems a little bit like you're ducking someone, Io. Like, you would think the fighting champion would say, look, I got pinned by Raquel Gonzalez. Now it's time to prove that I'm still the champion, instead of going, oh man, I got pinned by Raquel Gonzalez. Who else is here? Tony!
And that's kind of messed up.
That's a little bit like she was ducking some people.
I was going to answer this in the chat directly, but I think it's a cool time for debate. Adam Wood says, Xia Li reminds me a ton of Naomi when she first started. Loads of talent that hasn't been refined. It's a hot and spicy take, and it's one that the more I think about, I'm inclined to agree, but there's some differences, I think. Jack, what do you think about this statement by Adam Woods?
Yeah, I mean, I like Xylee. I like them both. So, yeah, I think they both got a lot of talent. Now it's just finding a way to latch on to a spot on the roster. Because, look, we used to say this all the time, and I know it was kind of an Evanism, you could say, back in the day, that everyone's got talent. Everyone's great. What are you going to do to stay on the roster, though, to stay on TV time? And that's what I think she's doing right now. Because, again, I'm excited to see her come back. Like, when they say Xylee performs in a match next week, I'm going to be like, ooh, I'm excited for that. I'm going to make that exact sound. That is capital O, lowercase o, capital O, lowercase
o. Your pets are like, what's going on in that room? Ooh.
Right.
Is he eating Fig Newtons in there? Okay, so.
Fig Newtons.
Don't mind if I do. I agree with that point. They do have some potential. They do have rooms to grow. But I think the difference, and I usually get like flamed for this, Adam Woods, is that even though it's kind of unfair as an American, I can surmise who Xylee is. Because she's one of the few Chinese wrestlers, she comes out in traditional Chinese-inspired culture with her ring gear. She has a fan. I can at least say, hey, look, Xylee is from China. She's a hard-hitting individual who doesn't win. The problem I've always had with Naomi, not Trinity Fatu, don't tell TK Trinidad. The problem I always had with Naomi was that it was just somebody who's into club music. Like, as a character, I can never get behind that. So, and people say, oh, you're a hater. I go, no. I remember when NXT was a game show on the Sci-Fi Network when they canceled WWECW and they had the Divas in season 3. And I said, there was no one no more athletically gifted than Naomi Knight. But you haven't given me a reason to care. People who care about Naomi are more like, she's not winning, I'm upset. But I'm like, give me a reason in this world. What are her special abilities? What's her like? What's her favorite pizza topping? Something that I can grab onto and be like, okay, I'm on board or not. So that's what I think the only difference is. But yeah, they both have potential that has been untapped.
You make a really good point there, and about the the differences between them. Like, I get who Xylee is. I think there's an authenticity to it as well. That's what always didn't click with me for Naomi. Is she's always someone that, look, she may be into club music. That may be who she really is, but I don't believe it when I see it on TV. I don't believe that when she's driving in the car, she's listening to that music or that she's doing these things. It feels like she's doing that to present herself on TV. And that's why I don't think it ever clicks for me.
I agree. Thanks for Derek for correcting me. Season 2 was the Divas, but either way, I was there live.
You don't know anything, Flobo.
I'm sorry. I'm a fraud. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week. Speaking of things that are now ticking me off, the guy who broke my heart, Isaiah Swerve Scott, because he's dating Jessica Maya, had a match against Jake Atlas.
Whose house?
Swerve's house. Probably a Seahawks fan too. Had a match against
he probably
Jake
is actually.
I thought it was an upset, even though we haven't seen Swerve, and Swerve has the dubious honor of being the guy who comes out every once in a while to be in the losing end of matches. I don't use insider terms, jobber, but it did seem like Jake Atlas is on his way back. Or does this say more about Swerve than it does Jake Atlas?
I think this is going to be one of those matches that tonight didn't feel like anything special. But in a few months, we're going to look back on it as a big moment. And the reason I say that is Jake Atlas is getting rolling. Jake Atlas is getting momentum. Jake Atlas is getting wins, and he's probably going to be challenging Escobar to be the true World Cruiserweight Champion. The real one, the one that actually counts. Jake Atlas is going to challenge for that. Swerve, on the other hand, the match was great.
Can't just say that and gloss over, man. You just said literally 20 minutes ago that Jordan Devlin was the true Cruiserweight Champion. But now you're saying Escobar is. Which one
I
is
did
it?
not say that. I did not say you're Flobo.
Run the tape.
You're not. You're looking at. You must be looking at your notes while I'm talking, because I said nothing of the sort. The point
says Jack is a poopy head, but go ahead.
So the point is that after the match, Swerve walking away, we could see in his face, Flobo, he's changing. He's understanding that being this goody two-shoe isn't getting him anywhere. He came short. He got off TV, and now he realized if he wants to stick around, he needs to bring that Tacoma, Washington style back to wrestling and start stomping on people and start beating people and quit being friendly.
Wait, Tacoma's not friendly? It sounds like a friendly town. It
Tacoma.
sounds like...
Tacoma's no good. Tacoma's a bunch of ne'er-do-wells.
The mean streets
No
of Tacoma.
goodness.
Your buddy Monge, who's not my buddy apparently, says Dominic should be in NXT going for the CW title. He's overbooked on the main roster. True or false?
I like to think that by CW title you mean the TV channel CW, and that he's going to be the champion of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Dawson's Creek.
And
I don't want to wait for our lives to be over.
Now I just want to see him walk out to I don't want to wait for our lives to be over.
Smallville, somebody say.
I'm actually realizing that Monge isn't in the States, and that joke might not translate over there. I don't know if they have CW over there, but yeah, I mean, I think Dominic would be great in NXT. I think that would be a great spot for him, but it's also one of those things that you go.
I would only be a fan of that if he's in Legado de Fantasma. That sounds very specific. I know it's like, because he's Luchador. But like, no, I think Dominic needs some edge. Even if he stays a protagonist, I think he would need a little bit more edge to differentiate himself from Mysterio. Because even when Mysterio was a bad guy, it was always like, oh, he's Mysterio. He's a fun-loving guy. He was a filthy animal. But like, if you had Dominic show up and be like, I'll use a bat. I'll love using the bat. Or what have you, I think it might help him out in the wrong one. To differentiate himself between him and Ray.
I agree. Because I think it's good to be known as Mysterio's kid. But that can't be your only thing. You know what I mean? Like Randy Orton we'll talk about being his dad being a champion and all this other stuff, but that's not all he is. You know, even Cody Rhodes, he doesn't, he is clearly the son of a grandson of a plumber, but that's not all he is. And I think that if all you are is the kid, then you're never going to be the guy. And so he needs to break away. I agree with you. I don't think he needs to like pretend he's not Rey Mysterio's kid, but he should start doing something to become his own man sooner rather than later. Because he's been on TV for like 2 years now.
Oh, just about, yeah. It was the last year Survivor Series we had that match with Brock Lesnar, which seems so far ago with crowds and whatnot. So, talking about crowds, here's a match I wish had a crowd. You had GYV and Imperium and Everrise in a triple threat tag team match. And GYV gets the win, which is to be expected because they're back, they're more fresh. The question I have for you, though, and I think we touched upon this about 3 weeks ago, is that the longer this goes on, having split Imperium is actually hurting the brand.
Is it hurting the brand of Imperium?
Yes. But real quick, Derek Fisher says my cousins live in Puyallup, Washington.
No, it's Puyallup, Washington.
What now?
Puyallup, Washington. Yeah, that is actually very close to where I am from. I know that area very well, Renton and all that good stuff. Fun, very small shout out. If you know the area, I worked at the South Hill Mall, Wells Fargo for some time. Shout out South Hill Mall, Wells Fargo.
Anyway, I was going to say one thing about Washington, and this is someone I don't know anything about the Pacific Northwest, but one time at our former employer, we were watching Monday Night Raw, and we were trying to figure out where Raw was, and I saw a sign in the rafters that cross-referenced it, and I was like, oh, it seems that Raw is coming from Everett, Washington, and I swear to you, the face Jack gave, like, ugh, what's in Everett? Why would they ever go there? Just like, wow, that must be a tough-ass town if Jack was so disgusted that Raw was in Everett, but continue.
It wasn't a shot against Everett. It was just that, like, you know, I guess here in California, if WWE is here, you expect it to be like in LA or like one of the major cities, and then finding out it's in Riverside. You know, you're like, nothing against Riverside, but you're like, what are you doing out in Riverside? I have a funny story I'll tell you about Riverside off air. But we have I do think, all that said, first off, for this tag team match, shout out NXT UK for providing a tag team division for NXT Prime here. But Imperium, I think I love Imperium, but they need to get their stuff together, man. They are spread apart. They're fragmented, just like the Roman Empire, man. They've been shattered. They got to circle the wagons. They got to get everything back together, and they got to get their stuff right. Right now, they're just they need to regroup because they're on their own. They're not as interesting. You know, I love Alexander Wolf, but by himself in UK, not as interesting. The tag team by themselves in the States, not as interesting. You need Walter with them. You need the four of them up there 5 once I'm in the group officially, I think is what you need. And I agree completely there. But I'm happy to see Grizzled Young Veterans win. I think they are a potential tag team of the year 2021.
Sure. And especially in Puyallup. That doesn't even look like how it's spelled. But whatever.
Well, to be fair, Derek didn't spell it right, but it still doesn't look the way it's. Even if he did it right, it wouldn't.
Well, he did it better than I would have. If someone said, "Can you spell Puyallup?" I'd be like, "No, not even try." I will say this though: of the 3 tag teams, Ever Rise is the most entertaining on social media. So make sure you follow them because
they were great in this match. By the way, I know this was their best match they've had. I thought they were very interesting in the fact that the way they handled everything and the way they presented themselves in the ring. This was Ever Rise's best performance.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And then follow him on social, Matt Martell and Chase Parker, who has this weird Chuck Taylor vibe about him. If you ever check him out,
Chuck Taylor's a good follow too.
Yeah, he has a good follow. Very, very befitting of his gimmick. Speaking of guys doing crazy things, your boy Cameron Grimes had a match against Tommaso Ciampa. To the moon! To the moon, Mackenzie! You know, they're actually selling the To the Moon shirt. We should probably tag Cedric Wilton and make sure he sees it. There's a new Cameron Grimes shirt. It's To the Moon. He's like doing this in front of a full moon. It's great. Yeah. Had a match against Ciampa. Ciampa's on his warpath trying to get rid of the softness in NXT. You guys know how I feel about Ciampa, but I will say Cameron Grimes needs somebody new. This could work, or doesn't it?
This was weird to me, man. This is where, now you know I'm a Ciampa guy. I like Ciampa, but this is what I don't get, man. He comes out and he's like, I want to call out all the tough guys, all the people that think they're tough, and I want to show them what toughness is. We just watched Cameron Grimes run away and be scared for 2 months. What are we talking about? He's a tough guy. He's never said he's a tough guy. He should be right now. If Ciampa wants to do what he's pretending to do, he needs to go after Dexter Lumis. He needs to go after those guys that are actually tough guys. Cameron Grimes never comes out and acts tough. He runs away. He's scared. He cheats. That doesn't make sense at all to me. It seems to me like Ciampa is changing the rules to fit his narrative, and I'm not a fan of it. I am a fan of Cameron Grimes, though. That guy makes me smile.
I feel like we've been arguing the opposite. I feel like you were saying, Cameron Grimes is a stick, and we need more of that classic NXT we love before USA, and Ciampa represents that, and he wears a mask now to the ring, and why not? And you're saying the opposite, though.
I liked it when he was trying to see who the tough guys were, and he was actually targeting tough guys. Now, Cameron Grimes isn't a tough guy. I love Cameron Grimes. I think he's a tough guy, but he's not someone who comes out and is like, I'm the toughest guy around. He's someone that is talented, that wins, that makes me smile, that makes me laugh, that makes me say, to the moon, Mackenzie.
To the moon, Mackenzie. Dude, how do you get Mackenzie Mitchell over? I have no idea, but he did it.
He did it. I can't believe it. And it just doesn't make sense to me. It felt a little random, It's like he was coming out and be like, I want to take out all the tough guys, so that's why Drake Maverick.
Right.
That doesn't. He should be going after a guy like a Killian Dane. He should be going after a guy like a Pete Dunne if he wants to talk about the tough guys. But Cameron Grimes is a fun, cool dude that's trying his best to get to the moon, and he has these guys stopping him.
He makes it and retires. I'm on the moon, Mackenzie.
I imagine him on the moon, but like still in the same outfit, but in space.
I'm very lonely and cold.
Like floating around.
In a minute because they have a match though. But Timothy Thatcher says it's not done. He's basically out there staring down Ciampa, and he pretty much injures Cameron Grimes too. Like, what's the deal with your boy Timothy Thatcher? Where do you go from here?
I was really bummed out. I want to see Thatcher and Grimes be a tag team. I think they'd be great. They're both these kind of hairy looking dudes that like look like they could like. Cameron Grimes could be entertaining and get us invested. Thatcher could go tie people up in balloon animals. It'd be fun. It'd be cool. But Thatcher went and threw it all away so that he could put poor Cameron Grimes doing the best he can with what he has, and did a weird footlock thing to him. I was bummed out about it. I wanted to see him become the best of friends, but it looks like we're going to get Ciampa Thatcher too. Thatcher needs to start getting some wins, man. I like Thatcher, but dude's got to start getting some dubs against some real people that aren't Matt Riddle from like 6 months ago.
I think it's interesting that like Thatcher basically demolishes Cameron Grimes' leg, and you're like, I was bummed out. Poor Cameron Grimes, like, Mackenzie's hurt so much. Oh man, like, no, I get you. I think Thatcher needs to do things in the ring, and when you have these Thatcher can segments and you lose your matches, you're basically saying you're all theory, no practice. Just a quick note, I talked about this last night via text with you. While this match was happening, All Elite Wrestling at the same time had their segment with Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm plumb curious there, Jack, to see which one got more of the demo, because it tells you what that is. Because on one hand, Cameron Grimes and Thatcher had a good wrestling match, but they're kind of vanilla-ish characters, not like giant stars. Ciampa may be one, but then Shaquille O'Neal on the other side is this bigger star, but he's not wrestling or in the ring. So I'm just kind of curious like that. Mine had an idea though, real quick. Thatcher's a grizzled old veteran. That'd be good.
No, you bring up a fascinating point there, because it's interesting. Is in the what makes it interesting too is it's the classic. NXT was showing what like wrestling purist fans would want to see, and AEW was showing exactly what someone who's trying to put TV stars on to gain viewers would want to see. Yeah. And so it'd be interesting to see how that plays out, especially because it seems flip-flopped. You know, usually it'd be the WWE side doing the bringing on a Shaquille O'Neal, and the AEW side putting on two wrestlers that wrestling purists would like to see. So It will be very interesting. I agree with see how that how the ratings look for that quarter hour. Usually I'm not a ratings guy, but
same here. But to me, it'd be kind of fun. Like, because then it's like, well, if AEW wins, they just ask the question. Maybe the brand is that much better, or more. There's more loyal fans that are willing to ride through a more non-wrestling segment or wrestling show, or that kind of thing. Just real quick, just want to thank you so much again. If you guys are in the chat hanging out with us, if you have questions for us, please let us know. If you're on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button and subscribe, because we're trying to build a community out in these streets. And our final match that we're going to discuss today, Pete Dunne vs. Killian Dane. The winner to me was not in question. I think Pete Dunne is that good. I think he's on course to do great things, but and there was some cool heartwarming moments. We'll get to that in a second, but man, that to me was peak 2020, where you're going out and helping your friend, you get your head bashed in the car door, you come back and you lose your revenge match. I mean, ow, my heart hurt for Killian Dane last night, bro. It really did.
Yeah, that had to sting a little bit. The story of that match to me was that even without Pat McAfee, because I think we all know Pat McAfee's not going to be on for a little bit. Kind of like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, he only comes out for the biggest moments. And I thought that maybe that grouping would break up after that, or maybe go their separate ways, but clearly they're still hanging together. That's the real story there. But you're right, man. Killian Dane, it's tough. Like, I don't know what if he comes out on the losing end here. What is he at this point? Can he be the big bruiser for a Drake Maverick if he can't even handle his own business?
Well, I mean, I guess he doesn't have to, because him coming to the aid of Drake Maverick yesterday, it's just going to keep it as a buddy thing. But again, we always say wins and losses don't matter night to night, but week to week and month to month, it does. And so if you keep them together, they got to win against somebody. And now we've seen if Everrise cannot be that tag team for much longer. You either have to move them up, make them more competitive, or break them up or move to another brand, because people can see through it and say, hey, I'm investing in this good team and they're not winning. I'm frustrated at the brand, or who's senile, or who's crazy.
Well, and also you can't take too many L's before we all go, okay, now I don't need to watch these matches anymore.
Fair enough.
Right? Yeah. So I think just as a promoter or booker, or however you want to phrase it, if you have a team that loses every week, that's not going to work. And and I think the point you're trying to make here is that if Everrise is moving out of that spot, then it kind of looks like Killian Dane and Drake Maverick may be the ones moving into it.
Yeah. Breeze Angle was up the chat. It's like, oh, not us. You know?
Yeah, Breezango have their stylish hats down. Just
right. Just in the corner. Before we get to the end of the show, Derek Fisher says this real quick. This is wrestling related, but you guys can believe the NBA is coming back. So happy. As a Brooklyn Nets fan, I am. I think the bubble Nets weren't the real team, so I'm looking to see what they actually do. I'm not sure if you're a basketball fan post Sonics, Jack, but the NBA is back, so, Christmas Day, I think.
I'm excited for it. It feels like they just finished. To be totally honest. Like this is like the shortest off season I can remember. I'm excited for it. I like anything that I like sports. I like competition. Brooklyn Nets, they're going to be a good team this year because they've got Durant, right? Am I mistaken there?
Yep.
Because they were. It wasn't. I felt like this last year wasn't the real Brooklyn Nets either. Because it was kind of like we're waiting for Kevin Durant.
Even if he wasn't there, there were so many like replacements and like call ups to the bubble. It was like whatever.
It was a weird situation, but I still consider it no asterisk for the Lakers there, and no asterisk for the GOAT LeBron James. I'm in that boat too. That he's the guy. But I'm excited for the NBA. I like competition. I like sports, and in this day and age, I like anything that adds normalcy to my life.
I just want to say that even though I'm not the biggest basketball stats guy, and I understand the debate between Jordan and LeBron, as the years go on, it's getting less and less likely that LeBron cannot be considered, if not top one, maybe top 1A. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just nuts. But before we get out of here, though, sorry, you have something to say else?
No, I was just going to add on, for me, winning it with 3 different teams that were all garbage when he signed on to them, are like, I don't know how Jordan's, we're splitting hairs, but Jordan had the same coach, the same team, the same, you know what I mean? Like things kind of went with him where LeBron kind of took a team like the Lakers that were not good when he came to them and made them champions. The Cavs weren't exactly dominating for years when he showed up, I can't remember what the Heat were doing. I guess I'm not that big of a historian.
It was Wade's team, but they needed those extra pieces. But the Cavs were my team in NBA Jam. They weren't good, but they were my NBA Jam team. Because Mark Price never missed. For some reason, he always hit the shots.
Interesting.
Derek Fisher says, bring back to Seattle Supersonics. Yeah, I think it's done. I think it's a very specific time period. The new songs wouldn't be received the same way.
I think they'd be loved, but I agree. Part of me feels like it's gone. I'd love for Seattle to have a team, but now I feel like
sure.
I kind of agree. I feel like now it'd almost be like when you break up with somebody and they like move on and they get married to someone else and then they divorce and come back. You're not like, oh, let's get back together. You're kind of like, oh no, you left me.
We'll settle. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. My dad would love to see the Sonics back, so I'd like to see him get his team back, but
That warms my heart, man, if I have one. It's now time for our best segment of the show, the MVP of NXT, brought to you by Gaming Wear. Once again, make sure you hit up gmrwear.com, use promo code Flobo, and make sure you suit up and play on, especially on Cyberpunk 2077 weekend. I'm afraid to get that game because I know I'll be addicted to it. So, Jack Farmer, here's the rules. Between NXT and NXT UK, pick one superstar, diva, staff member, official that stood out for you on either brand.
I say this every week. This was tough, man. I went into the entire week thinking to myself, Raquel Gonzalez. She pinned Io Shirai. I don't know how you top that. That's huge. But, man, in the final hour, in the last second, A-Kid beating Tyler Bate, and I think solidifying the fact that he's the guy. It's his year. It's his time. A-Kid, to me, I think, has now not just had a good week, but he has solidified a future career.
It's weird because I don't disagree with you, but my pick is actually Tyler Bate, his opponent. I'm not taking anything from A-Kid. I think it's fantastic. But once you win the Heritage Cup, once you get rid of the fanfare, it is a challenge to make that work on week-to-week television. They needed somebody who was decorated. They needed somebody who was strong and looked convincing. When a Bate was pinned down for those 3 seconds, it looked believable that he was trying to kick out. My pick would be Tyler Bate, y'all.
It's a fair pick, too, because he also got added to the Thigh Guys, which is a really big honor.
Why are we having a debate, then? You're right, Dylan Bad Dude, the A-Kid with the A-plus week. That's right. Dude, you know the time it is, man, for us to get out of here. You know the deal. My man, Jack Farmer, you do a bunch of things all throughout the week. Tell the world how they can find you online.
You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check me out on the Anytime Radio Show every Monday at anytimeradio.com. You can also check me out on Elite of the Week every Wednesday, Draped in Gold here on Thursday, Everything Tournament on some Thursdays. I know we've been a little bit spotty with the recording, but that's because of the holidays and all that kind of fun stuff. Also, once it gets back going again, I'm going to be part of the United Wrestling Network as part of their backstage reporting team, chatting it up with some wrestlers and getting the big scoops.
Scoops, I love it, man. Scoops. This is Draped in Gold. Learn more about the show at drapedingold.com. During this time, as a creative, I ask two ways to support. Make sure you buy a t-shirt, mask, or mug over at flobito.threadless.com. The new Grand Junction line is right set for the holidays. Make sure you pick one up for some friends and family members. And if you love bonus content, I know everyone does, the Patreon. Join the Boisterous crew at patreon.com/Flobo Boyce. Cool stuff's happening there all the time. I post like 15 times a month. You get your money's worth, right? But until next time and until next week, Jack, say it.
Do your best and be yourself.